Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire United States. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet created by we the people. We the people. Let's always remember that. We the people. Who are the ones that are going to make changes? We the people. Who are the ones that's going to activate this country? We the people. Who are the ones that are going to restore this country? We the people. But, you know, folks, without further ado, we move on to the geniuses in el estudio. We have el señor Jacques Van Bever and Mayana. Buenos dias, mi gente. Good morning, my people.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Do you feel like a genius this morning?
Right? A little bit. A little bit, because I'm kind of like really excited. I don't know. I think it's the phone thing. I'm just very excited.
Yeah, I think we have the phone straightened out.
All right. I love to hear that. I love to hear that. You know, I know our audience is going to be very happy about that. It was difficult for a few days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, talk to me, guys. What do we have up your sleeves, up your whatever?
Well, Jack's been working on something, so let's see.
Jack,
I read your post this morning, and the healthcare issue really got me, because I think this can be a focal point for the people to get behind and have kind of a grassroots movement to say, no, I've had enough. I'm not paying high premiums. Healthcare premiums are set to soar astronomically. The corporate right is setting up the working poor and the middle class to hold them hostage to their fear of becoming sick. This is how corporate healthcare manipulates the public to exploit a resource, the citizen, for its cash. This is wealth extraction through fear. They want you to be in a state of constant fear and concern over your spouse's and children's well-being. So you just fork over the dollars because you love your family. At some point that's coming this month, when the people face the reality of exploitation of something they desperately need, it's a necessity for most. This is called tyranny. At some point, the citizen must fight back and have some courage to go without health care coverage. This is what a true American patriot would do when faced with tyranny. 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 If the citizens who can would go without health care coverage and refuse to pay in masses, this would be a nonviolent way to stand up to the bullies of health care. I say stop paying the high premiums to bring about a better health care future.
Hey, let me tell you something, guys. I don't think people understand the evil within. The evil within, the ability anybody who will deny health care to give people who are already wealthy that much more dollars, that health care dollars. There's a certain kind of evil within. But anyway, folks, anything else, guys, in the studio?
Nah, just excited to really hear how this thing is going to work out.
Well, it's going to work out. It's going to work out. It's going to work out. I've got not faith, but I have trust in our people. Anyway, folks, today is Thursday, which means it is Neil Aquino Day. Good morning, Neil Aquino, who is the founder of the Houston Democracy Project. How you doing, Neil?
All right. Good morning. Good morning, studio. Good morning, local, regional, statewide, national, and global audience for Politics Done Right. It's excellent to be here.
Well, look, it's great having you here, my brother. What are we going to talk about today, both locally and nationally, my brother?
Boy, so a couple of things. So I've written about this at HoustonDemocracyProject.com. First thing is, yesterday I watched Governor Abbott's press conference, right? And I watched it, folks, so you don't have to. And it's a very terrible program. Okay, I'd rather be watching just about anything else. And Governor Abbott came into town and had a press conference at the Department of Safety building, and that's our state troopers.
Mm-hmm.
And he is bringing in additional law enforcement to Houston. You'd think we had enough cops between the constables and the sheriffs and all the local police forces, but he is bringing in Department of Public Safety troops for what he says is a focus on repeat violent offenders. That was what he was terming it repeatedly. So if you hear that DPS is coming here, repeat violent offenders. Now, if they cared about crime, they'd get the guns off the street and they would stop slashing the social safety net, right? They don't care about crime. What they care about is defeating the Democratic judges. So they had a fair amount of talk at this press conference yesterday afternoon about how the judges were letting everyone off. They had a guy from the Houston Police Officers Union there who was complimenting Governor Abbott for helping getting more Republicans on our local criminal court. So imagine thinking that the Republican Party is the party of law and order in this environment. And if you remember during the campaign for mayor, Mayor Whitmire repeatedly had said, it was controversial at the time, that he wanted Department of Public Safety, DPS, troops, police here in Houston. And that was controversial. He was not at the press conference yesterday. Neither was Chief Diaz. There was an associate or assistant chief, they termed her, at the press conference. Abbott was asked, what does Whitmire think about it? He hemmed and hawed and all that. So the issue here is the judges. And if they cared about crime, they would address the causes of crime. And this is also more resources for ICE and more who HPD is cooperating with. So this is just more resources for ICE. And this is more resources for when Trump suspends habeas corpus or civil liberties. Our cities are training grounds, he told our generals for the military. This is just more resources for them.
Neil, how many detention centers do we have that you know of in the Houston and metropolitan surrounding areas?
I don't know.
Okay, the reason I said is that I was asked that on an interview yesterday, and I didn't know exactly. I do remember that we have some strict mall areas that were detention centers, or that they use for detention centers, but I couldn't really locate any of them specifically.
But what I was told by an immigration attorney a few weeks ago, who I talked with, just so I could speak out of some facts and not just speculation, was if you are taken in by ICE locally, it is frequently 48 to 72 hours before you can contact your family, in part because they don't care, and then also in part that they don't have the resources. So I don't want to say that the answer is not enough detention centers or not enough resources, but once they pull you in, they are you are on your own for 2 or 3 days. It's a rough process.
Well, a friend of mine, his kid got pulled in Dallas, and he hadn't heard from the kid for 2 days. He finally heard from the kid.
Yeah.
They have them, he's still locked up right now. Beforehand, I want to give a big welcome to Joe and from Los Angeles, California, Stephen Rosenweig, Lynn Robinson family, and Lynette, Helen Metters, Alice Stanley. Stephen says, do you want insurance just to get by on only $1 billion a year? I think that's a rhetorical and a funny question. Marge KJ, welcome aboard. Cheryl Elkins as well. J&B in North Carolina. We also have Janet. Glenn Ryan out of Katy, Texas. My brother that gives me a hard time, justifiably so. Let's see. Lynette says increased law enforcement looks like an increase in crime. It's pretend. Let's be clear here. All these people that constantly talk about law and order, starting from the president himself, they are convicted felons or have some sort of run-in with the laws. Look at our Attorney General. Our attorney that's going to be running against Don Cornyn. I think it's quite interesting how we support the criminals,
and nor do they say a word about the gutting of federal law enforcement. You know, the FBI has been they fired the 20 agents who had kneeled at the time of the murder of George Floyd a few days ago. No solidarity, right? No solidarity. They're gutting federal law enforcement. They're politicizing the agency. I'm not telling you that I trusted the FBI, but where's the solidarity? Where's the loyalty? It almost makes you think that imagine that cop unions are about something other than law and order. You can.
It has never been law and order. They've been there to protect it seems like most of what they protect is protecting when their officers do wrong. I mean, that's what I normally see.
Bankrupting the Treasury.
Exactly. Right. Because again, taking an inordinate portion of the budget. We got Tag on the line. Come on in, Tag. Let's go ahead and go to line 1 and make sure that this all works. Tag, you're on.
Great.
Hey, Egberto, how are you guys today?
I am doing fine, especially since Mayana is happy this morning about the phones. I am happy. Talk to me.
There's still an echo on the line.
Okay, well, I think they'll get that fixed pretty soon, I hope, but talk to me.
Just so everybody knows what they're getting into when they call.
Okay.
Right, okay.
I've had a visualization that I wanted to explain to people. We all have a light that we see where our lives would like to be. We're heading in that direction, hopefully. But we have two political parties that are telling us that they can get us to that light, that point of a place of time or whatever, that they can get us there the quickest. And so we get on that in that bus, and we're heading in a direction. Pretty soon we don't see that point of light anymore. And the political parties tell us, we can't take you directly there. We've got to go around the mountain to get you to that point of light. And we have to understand that you can't trust those people driving the bus to get you to where you want to go. That's what I'm trying to say here. So we have to make some decisions about which driver you're going to pick to get you to where you want to go. And I don't think the one that we have in Washington right now is going to get us to that point of light. So that was my visualization for the morning. I hope people can understand it.
Oh, I love the inference of what you're saying, and I agree 100%. And I think, loosely speaking, that is what these different movements that, in fact, Neil and I was talking about that earlier on. Right now, our leadership isn't in Washington. Our leadership is people getting off of their rump and going out there, and the people that have been, in fact, doing that in the last several months are a hell of a lot of women. I don't know. We see women activating like never before. A few men are starting to go back and get back into the fold. But women out there that are doing these protests and doing these letter writings and doing these phone calls and organizing. I am, right here in Kingwood, we have a woman, Cindy Hendrickson, and Vicky. I can't remember Vicky's name right now.
Feedback.
Vicky Feedback. They are busting their butts every single day. Granted, they have the time to do so, and that is one of the things we've been preaching. A lot of our older women, because they're retired, they can be the organizers and they can be out there. And the one thing about a lot of the older women as well is that they go out there and they vote. So they are secure votes out there. Not, am I going to vote or maybe? Neil, your thoughts?
Right. And they're angry. seeing. We had some of this stuff last week, but it's still true, and they could use extra help in Kingwood and near you, and there are, if you go to the 50501 webpage, there are No Kings events October 18th all over the Houston region: Pasadena, Richmond, Kingwood, Brenham, the Woodlands, Bryan College Station, Navasota, downtown Houston, Conroe, Katy, Cold Spring. These are all October 18th, and I encourage you to find one near you and to organize one near you too. Yeah,
it is important. I mean, when these politicians see the mobilization, I mean, No Kings rally in Brenham, Texas. Think about that. Brenham, Texas.
Yeah. And Trump would.
That's Washington County.
Right. 2607 Texas Route 36, and these are the people that Trump is telling you is Antifa. Right. These are the people that Trump wants to criminalize for having anti-fascist thought. And these are being organized. There are more separate rallies in the region this time than there were in June, and there were a good number in June. I think this is going to be I'm hopeful that there'll be millions of people out there. But and wherever you are, you can organize one. And then go on to Mobilize and tell them that it's there.
Let me just tell you, LBW, one of our resident professors, I'm coming to you in a minute, Tag. Our resident teacher is here in the chat. She says, download the Red Wine and Blue app to see local groups near you nationwide. Indivisible has local groups too. So, I mean, I love that. Believe it or not, LBW, I hadn't heard about the Red Wine and Blue download. Had you heard about that, Neil?
I have heard. I didn't know about the download. I've heard of the group, and they've been putting on, I believe, some podcasts. And I've been seeing it around. Yeah, couldn't give you the ins and outs.
LBW says anyone can fight fascism, and that's the issue. Everyone's got to engage. Tag, close her out for me.
Yes, I just want to help other people understand. You have the ability to choose who's going to take you where you want to go. Don't take any ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just pick the right people. So vote for the right people. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, Tag. You have a good one. And thank you for sustaining and resisting the feedback that you hear in your ears. So, folks, when you call in, disregard what's coming back in your ears. Eventually, we'll get it right. Stephen Rosenfeld says, Antifa now terrorists for Takot. No. Stephen, you almost got me to say a word I am not supposed to say on the radio. Anyway, Neil, what else is up? I noticed that you have the LBW got me thinking of LWV, of the League of Women Voters. So the National League of Women Voters has endorsed the October 18th No Kings, and so this all made. We kind of lost you for a minute, Neil. We lost your internet, so I'm going to wait for you to come back. But Cheryl Elkin says, seems to be a theme emerging in red states. Louisiana requested federal troops for NOLA. Seems to be the optics. Seems to be a spectacle. You're right about that. They're trying to give Donald Trump
Memphis.
cover. No, this one is New Orleans.
And Memphis.
Oh yeah, and Memphis. Yeah. Well, actually, I think they already sent the troop to Memphis, and with the governor's consent.
Right.
With the governor of Tennessee's consent.
So the League of Women Voters has voted to agree to endorse No Kings, and they made a statement saying, that the authoritarianism. And I saw the Montgomery County League of Women Voters meets October 8th at the Kevin Brady Convention, Kevin Brady Hall, whatever it is, the former Republican congressman. And they're going to discuss in the Woodlands October 8th their support for No Kings. And so, off of Trump's executive order, criminalizing or seeking to criminalize anti-fascist thought and beliefs, they've got all of us. they're coming for all of us. They're coming for all of us, and they're coming for your ideas, and they're looking for any, something as routine as a League of Women Voters meeting. We appreciate everyone at it. They're terming all of us as criminals, anarchists, radicals, and sending the troops into cities, and it's quite a thing.
Well, Cheryl Elkins points out that it's a big thing if the League of Women Voters makes an endorsement. I mean, actually, they pretty much stay out of, and I mean, No Kings is not a partisan thing; it's an anti-fascist thing. So I think that gives them the cover to actually do that.
And No Kings is the local volunteers doing it.
Right.
There's no national leader. I couldn't give you. I could give you some local names because I know, but there's no national leader, and they're going to have a lot of people out in communities everywhere on Saturday, October 18th.
Yeah, that is great, folks. The number is 713-526-5738. Disregard the echo. It's working better, but disregard the echo that you hear. Lynette says, I understand why red states have higher crime. Like we know we have less resources. It is amazing. You're absolutely right about that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the shutdown. Let me tell you my take. Until a few days ago, I wasn't sure where I stood with the shutdown. I wanted a shutdown because I've always wanted a shutdown. My concern is that Democrats are such poor marketers that I figured they would lose the shutdown message, have to put their tails through their legs and just open the thing up. For those who are fearful that Donald Trump is going to fire a whole lot of people and use the shutdown to fire a whole bunch of people, he didn't need the shutdown to do that. He's been firing people left and right and getting a large amount of support all the way up to the Supreme Court. They believe in that
court support, not public support, but
court support from the courts. Well, not from the lower courts, but from ultimately from the Supreme Court. So holding that as something not to have a shutdown, it's not a valid excuse again because he's been playing those cards a long time. Now, the concern that I had with the shutdown is that there are going to be a lot of pain from people not getting their paychecks. But absent that, the pain would be a lot greater if we just allow the subsidies that support a whole lot of people on health care insurance to go by. Now, will this force the Republicans to solve the subsidy problems? I have a hunch it could. I have a hunch it could because, again, the people that are going to be harmed the most by the loss of these subsidies are in red states. And if the Democrats do the job of going into these red states, not just staying on the coast, not just staying in in blue cities, but going and pointing out exactly what's happening in already Virginia has lost 3 hospitals. I understand that a couple of places in Washington, several more are going. And we're talking about before the actual portion that cuts their bills get implemented. So this is the time for the stance to be made. And if you take a look at the polls right now, it is way ahead for the Democrats with respect to this shutdown. Your thoughts on that, Neil? And folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738.
I do think this Russell Voigt at Office of Budget and Management, they're gonna, these federal workers, they're gonna get them one way or another over the course of these 4 years, and the court is going to uphold. You see that they're not spending. Congress can appropriate the money, and then they're not spending it. And I've also seen some articles, asking where's that money going, because this money was appropriated. Where's that money going? I can only imagine the grift and the graft that is going on. They'll be talking about it for years. Locally, there's no. I got a couple emails from some mailing list I'm on for a couple of local Congress people. I don't see the case being made locally. I would love to have seen the same energy. I'd love to have seen, the Texas House legislators, Democrats, and Senate having a press conference yesterday, like they had during the quorum break, saying this is the reason. It would have been great to see coordination locally, selling it. I got to admit, I'm not, just through anecdotal channels, I'm not seeing a lot of conversation or talk about it. It's just, it seems to me to just be in the woodwork of what it is.
Now, that has always been my concern. Democrats, how they fight. This is going to sound terrible, but it just sounds very lazy to me. If I were a Democrat in town, if I had a position, I would be all over TV. I will be all over my district. I will be over there saying, encouraging my district to get engaged, encouraging my district. This is why we're doing this. I was speaking to Lisa Levin yesterday at the Pacifica Network. And in the interview, I said that it seems like the people that should be out there fighting for you aren't, and that we are going to have to be our own answer. You remember when Obama just came on the field? One of the things he used to say is, "We are who we've been waiting for."
Right, as he dismantled his networks in 2010.
Well, he was forced to dismantle OFA, and it was converted into from Obama for America to something else. I don't remember. They use the same call words. But
Organizing for America.
Organizing for America. Exactly. Here's the issue. What they forgot is this. If you think this MAGA movement is big, if you think the Tea Party movement is big, I was a part of OFA when it was Obama for America. Obama for America wasn't big. Obama for America was huge. And the reason that's the only reason you get somebody named Obama electable in 2008. Obama for America was huge. That is what organizing looked like. Obama was a field organizer. They used to make fun of him for being a community organizer. But in his heyday, when we got Organizing for America, and then the governor from what's his name? I think where was he from Vermont? The governor from Vermont, Governor Dean, the fifth estate.
Right.
These guys knew how to organize, and when they got power, the plutocracy, I think, got to them, because all these people-powered movements they allowed it to wither. This was so much larger than the Tea Party, so much larger than MAGA. It was real people power.
And more diverse.
And more diverse.
Younger.
And again, the thing that happened is they wanted it gone, because they understood that real people power is dangerous for the oligarchy.
Yeah. I would love to see more local energy, the same energy that we had. I'll tell you where the local energy is. I'll bring up a completely subject out of left field. I'll tell you where the local energy is in terms of some of our elected officials' attention is there a serial killer along the bayou? Here, I'm just going for ratings here, but Councilwoman Plummer. Last week, Mayor Whitmire, I think it was last week, held a press conference saying there's no serial killer along our bayou. So they've been consistently finding bodies, although not as many as previous years. So Mayor Whitmire held a press conference. This is off the topics I usually talk about, but I'm seeing it over and over. And I was curious if I was waiting for a call. Maybe I've spurred one now on it. And he said there's no serial killer. He appeared with Chief Diaz along our bayous. And then the very next day, another body was found, right? And then at council last week, there was no council this week. Travis McGee, who's a good activist who lives in the Sunnyside area, came and talked about it. saying he believed there was. And Councilwoman Plummer, who's running for county judge against Denise Parker in the Democratic primary, held a press conference on it. She saw her opportunity and took it for publicity. And I'm looking at a picture. Councilwoman Evan Shabazz is there. But there has been the biggest topic of conversation locally, since I talk about local stuff, that I have seen in the last week is there a serial killer? And it's being used in somewhat to make the point that there are many homeless people, many vulnerable people along our bayous, and that whether there's a serial killer or not, there is a problem with people in distress in Houston and people outside of normal channels.
Yeah, that is shame. I've been following that somewhat, not in detail as you are, but yeah, it seems like every few days, well, you get a new body float up somewhere there. Glenn Ryan says, Egberto, what do you think about Richard Wolff's call for a Labor Party? We need a different party. Face it, the Democrats are a lost cause. Look, I interview Richard Wolff quite often. And I think if we are to get another party, it would have to be the mobilization that you have to go through. Look, I am with Brother Wolff, economist. He's a great guy. And in fact, now that you mentioned that, I should call him up and do an interview about what his procedure would be. Like I ask you all the time, Glenn, give me the pathway to get in the votes, both locally, meaning in local elections, in statewide elections, as well as national elections. If you're going to talk about another party, let's have a draft as far as what the pathway is going to be for success, not just for opposition, but for success. Your thoughts?
I won't mention the union because it's a rumor. I believe the rumor, but I can't back it up. That a local union here in town that has used its hall to hold Democratic Party events no longer will permit that because they got complaints from Republican members. I believe it. Labor had a heavy hand in electing Whitmire. Now, I actually do believe Whitmire is a Democrat, but we've seen, for example, one of their top priorities was the firefighters union, which is an AFL-CIO union, which is Republican. And I have followed a little bit the Unite Here service worker hotel staff strike at the Hilton Americas, where they're trying to get $23 an hour. Now, I support them, but our concept of what labor is, so we have the brutalization and terrorizing every day of a Latino laboring and working class by ICE here in Houston, targeted because they're driving a beat-up van, a work-looking van. They're at the taqueria. They're getting water. And that doesn't seem to be in our conceptions of labor, especially, from our elected officials who go to. So if we're going to talk about labor, then we need to include unorganized labor. And it's a whole different conversation when I see the Teamsters head continuing to deal with Trump and these union members whom seem to value cultural things over their own wages and unions. I don't know that a labor party. We're going to have to define what labor is, and maybe not center traditional organized unions in that.
And I think that's why I probably should get Dr. Wolff on a new interview, because like I said, there are certain unions right now. It is mutually exclusive to care about workers and support anything having to do with Donald Trump.
Right.
That should be mutually exclusive. And here, you know how I speak about mutual exclusivity. I always talk about, not everything is mutually exclusive at all. But in this case, it is. All right, Brian, come on in.
Yeah, I'm here. So let's talk about Lena Hidalgo. What exactly has she done for Harris County, such as being kicked off the Houston Galveston Council for missing 52 consecutive meetings?
Well, look.
Drop out because of mental health issues?
Well, let me just say, I don't think it's never a good thing to really just go ahead and hit somebody up because they were public in pointing out their health issues. But as far as what she's done, I think she's brought a whole lot of humanity to the council. Whereas a lot of politicians, both the left and the right, well, I shouldn't say the left, both Democrats and Republicans like to give her hell because she's young and does her politics differently. I support this woman because, again, I think she brought humanity and care for the people who needs care in this county. So what she does, you take a look at things she's done with the libraries. You check things she's done with programs that help the poor, things that other council people didn't necessarily create a priority. She did that. So while it is easy, again, I'm not going to talk about that. It may be easy to make a caricature out of that. But, again, you're a man speaking. And, whenever I hear you speak that way of one of these guys, then I think you'll have a bit more credence. You want to add anything to that, Neil?
I'm gonna run with mention of the Houston-Galveston Area Council. Proposition B that the voters passed in Houston last year, 2023, mandates that the city get out of the Houston-Galveston Area Council that determines regional transportation products if we don't get sufficient representation, and the mayor and council are violating it, passed strongly, and we're not even supposed to be in the Houston-Galveston. So let me make the democracy point that we ought to be out of it ourselves right now, based on the will of the people.
And evidently, she followed the will of the people, but I guess that's right. Not good. That's not good enough.
No. Wait. Hey, hold on.
She followed the will of the people. Well, okay, Brian, make the last count. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah, she refused to go to the meeting.
Well,
52.
Well, did you hear what Neil said?
It was her will.
Maybe she couldn't stand it.
Wait.
I don't want to
look.
Her job.
I am not going to. I'm not going to talk about this issue. Lina Hidalgo is a young woman that came into the council and did a great job. Thank you very much, Brian. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
The only thing I'll say when it comes to HGAC and Lina Hidalgo is the only thing she should do is address why. She addressed why she didn't attend 52 meetings. If that is the actual case, no.
Yeah, look, let me tell you, like I said, Lina Hidalgo is the first millennial woman that went on to this council, brought some humanity to this council. I'm not.
And so and for our audience elsewhere, we're talking about our commissioner's court, our 5-member commissioner's court here in Harris County.
Yes. So, I'm not going to bother about it. Like I said, I support this woman because, again, she brought something that our politics needed badly, especially the commissioner's court. What else have you got for me, Johnny?
Okay, well, I will defer to Neil because I trust Neil's judgment on it. And as far as what you guys mentioned earlier about a working party, I'm all in favor of us trying to create that third party, even though we have a two-party system. As long as we don't forget that we can't abandon the Democratic Party, because if we do, we'll have 2 Republican parties. It's better enough we have one that's managed. Donuts for everybody. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, Johnny. Look, I think that's one of the points, and I go back and forth with Brother Glenn Ryan all the time with this, the Green Party, the different parties. Like I said, I have no loyalty per se to parties. I have loyalty to the people. For me, the question is, how do you acquire power for the people? When you are well off or when you are comfortable, you can make a lot of choices. You can make the choice to sit out an election. You can make a choice to send a message with a losing candidate. But when people's lives depend on it, as an example is this not the bailout, but this shutdown right now. a lot of people want to say, well, just go ahead and let the Republicans take don't shut the government down. Let people lose their insurance. Let the prices go up. Let them affect their own personal economy. And then they'll see how bad the Republican policies are. And there's a piece of me that want to do that, to say this is what you voted for. Then I recall that doctor that I played for you all a couple of days ago, and she's a doctor talking, teledoctor again, rural areas, healthcare desert. She's a rural doctor speaking to a guy in the mines or doing a blue collar job, a MAGA guy. And while she is thinking FAFO, this is what you voted for as that hospital in your region closed. She realized this is a guy with a daughter, a son, a wife, the sole breadwinner of the family. And this guy is having a VT event, a blood clot event in his leg that's going to kill him. It has already started giving him small pulmonary embolisms. And she saw his humanity. And this doctor got up, spent an hour on the phone with him beyond the time she should. Contacted his primary care physicians to be told that he cannot be seen because his private care physician in that town is on vacation. And he had to drive an hour and change to the nearest emergency room. And she can't sleep. This is a MAGA guy. The humanity came out. And she said, I can't think FAFO anymore. And that's what I'm saying with these different policies out there. We have to start having some humanity. Bring Bart on, line 1. Thank you. Let's see. I think he's going to come in a little bit. Bart, you're on.
Yes, sir. I wanted to talk about one of my favorite subjects, Lena Hidalgo. Have you ever heard of Elevate Strategies?
Well, I'm not going to talk Lena Hidalgo, so please change the subject.
Yeah, she gave $11 million tax.
All right, let's go to Jimmy, line number 2. Thank you.
It's just like Sylvester Turner, right? Now that Mayor Turner's passed, they'll be talking about Lena in 20 years. What about Lena?
These guys are, I don't know. I think they sit down and, I wonder what kind of life they have. Come on in, Jimmy.
Can you believe it's already October?
Yeah, I can.
I know.
I have two things. I think the Democrats in the Senate should go along and with the Republicans and end the shutdown. The shutdown is too harmful. You can't visit the national parks. People are not getting paid. So let them go back to work and work on these issues. And I think the most important issue for this country would be to have free tuition in public colleges. That would raise our educational level. It would benefit everybody in our country and in the world. More education makes smarter decisions, creates better jobs, etc. Let's move to the free tuition in public colleges like 7 countries in Europe already have.
Jimmy, how old are you again?
A young 91.
Okay, here's the reason I ask that, right? My brothers and sisters, I know Jimmy personally. Jimmy and I serve together in the HPJC, Houston Peace and Justice Center, and we serve in other organizations. This is a 91-year-old young man that is active and still doing his part to promote these policies. We need a hell of a lot more Jimmys out there. At 91 years old, I hadn't seen you since you picked up your cane, because all the time I saw you still didn't have that damn cane, Jimmy. But anyway, thank you for what you do, brother. All right?
Thank you, Egberto.
Have a good one, sir.
Spread the word.
We'll spread the word, brothers. We'll spread the word. Let's go to Pamela. Pamela, line number 3. Come on in, Pamela. How are you doing this morning, my dear?
Great, Egberto. It's always good to hear you.
Likewise, my dear. Talk to me.
A judge just ruled a 161-page, whatever you call it. I'm about half asleep.
Yeah,
anyway, ruled that Trump cannot let these people deport university professors who are in alliance with Palestine.
Great. When did that come out? Was that recently,
Right.
or? Okay.
I heard it yesterday.
Okay.
Anyway,
go ahead.
Oh, don't hold on. I'm sorry.
You're echoing. I'm going to donate some money, and I'm going to ask everybody else to go along with me. You guys need some new equipment.
Thank you so kindly, my beautiful Pamela. We do need new equipment, and you are a wonderful person, as you've always been. Thank you so kindly, okay?
Our children always send me money, thank goodness. So tomorrow, I'm going to call in and donate this and challenge everybody else to do the same.
Let me ask you to do me one favor. Let them know that you're doing this in the name of politics done right. Thank you. You have a wonderful day, Pamela.
So what Pamela's I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
What Pamela's referencing is this is an NPR story, national NPR. Federal judge called the Trump administration's attempts to deport non-citizens because of their Palestinian activism, quote, a full-throated assault on the First Amendment. This was a federal judge in Boston who said that this is non-citizens, persons legally here, could not be targeted for their support of Palestinian causes or criticisms of Israel. That was the court ruling.
And that was yesterday.
This story is dated yesterday. I believe the decision was 2 or 3 days ago.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Anyway, let's bring Spike into the conversation. Spike, you're on.
All right. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, sir. Talk to me.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to speak on those guys that was talking about Linda Hidalgo. Now, she came in there and changed the bounce of the ball. See, they was used to all that corruption with Ed Emmett and all the ones before him. You know, like that. You know, I was one of the commissioner court guy had a road paved to his house on that ranch of his.
Yeah,
and they let him resign with us. You know, the DA didn't come nowhere around looking for him, but with her $11 million contract, Ed Emmett was giving hundreds of millions of dollars of contracts to his friends, and nothing was ever said.
Yeah, you see, if it doesn't go to the good old boys, it gets extra scrutiny. It happened. This contract went to a one-person operation that was building, right? And take a look at how other contracts are given. Was it a friend? Yeah. Am I gonna scream about it? Hell no. But anyway, anything else, Spike?
Man, that's all I heard that, man. I just wanted to speak on that, man.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you calling in. I also want
I like that analogy, bounce of the ball. When the judge announced she wasn't running for re-election, that's what you heard was she had changed the tone, the tenor, the focus of the court.
Of course.
Spike hit it right on.
Yeah, I'm not going to hit the young woman. I am proud of the young woman. The young woman did what a lot of others weren't willing to do, and she won twice. Anyway, I want to give a big thank you to Karen S. of Houston as well, who gave us some good support yesterday as well. Thank you so kindly. People realize how important our independent media is going to be. Especially given what's going on with the mainstream media. Let's go to Brother Augie. And thank you, studio, for keeping this thing running smoothly. I love my peeps, man. Come on in, studio. Line 2.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, that was for Linda Hidalgo also. Yeah, she was for the people. Bart and Brian might not like that, but she did what the people wanted and helped. But I wanted to call yesterday about Trump did getting all those generals and admirals together, and nobody said what the first thing he said was if these generals and admirals didn't like what he was doing, they could walk out the door and be fired. Except he was only in the Marines 2 years, so he must have gotten kicked out for some reason, because enlistments are 4 and 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And with the shutdown, they don't talk about how Trump has been cutting funding for the VA and VA hospitals. And we had a Marine attack that Mormon church, a Marine veteran, needed mental health. And Republicans have been cutting funding for mental health and shutting down mental health hospitals and mental health facilities. And he's following, and Trump is following Trump's playbook. He made a martyr out of Kirk, a college dropout who was a spokesperson for the right wing and so-called puritanical Christianity. Hitler did the same thing. He had a martyr too.
You know what I find amazing? I find amazing that the leadership on the right are such flawed men. And think about it. Donald Trump, the one that they adore, such a flawed person, and Kirk, such a. I mean, why do you have to? Aren't there people of good repute that you could actually follow? You know, is that the best that you really could come up with? And when it comes to what Haig said, in effect, that's what they told the generals. You know, take it or leave it. I hope those generals don't leave. I want them to stay. I want the honorable generals to stay, because their replacement will likely be a big problem. Hey, I'm running out of time. Augie, thank you for your call, my brother. If you have something quick to say, please say it so I can go to Derek.
And Hitler did the same thing too. He got all the military officers together and they had to pledge allegiance to Hitler, not the oath that they had taken before. And the military takes an oath to obey the Constitution and obey legal orders, not obey a tyrant wannabe.
Thank you, Gaugy. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think those generals are going to do the right thing. I think those generals, at least 70% is what a couple of retired generals have said. Let's go to Derek. Thank you, Augie. Let's go to Derek. Come on in, Derek. Derek, you're on.
It seems, hey, quickly, Egberto, I just want to say that quickly that it seems like every time President Trump does a snafu, then that's when the MAGA crowd goes on these talk shows to deflect the conversation. Now, I don't know how in the world we got on Lena Hidalgo, but I just got to say, since President Trump loves to peddle products to the MAGA people, then why don't he come up with his own brand of Trump Q-tips and have them to clean out their ears? Thanks.
Thank you, Derek. That's a good one. The Trump Q-tips. That's a good one, Derek. I never thought of that one. Thank you, brother. Do you need some Trump Q-tips, Neil?
No, but don't. No.
It seemed like you wanted to say something that you held back on, but I'm gonna give you a break. Look, folks, we are at 53 right now. Before I come back to you, Neil, let me just throw it to the studio to see if anybody has anything they want to add to the conversation.
I definitely do. You know how everybody's talking about like this 3-party system? I agree, but there's also like the Green Party. They have like a workers' party, you know, they're supposed to be for the people. Maybe take a look at that and try to build that, because for like years they've been trying to get into primaries in certain states and they're having difficulty because they need more people behind them. And that's a third party that, you know, maybe we can talk to and try to build, because they are their main thing is usually like workers, you know. So I mean, that's a possibility. I'm not, you know, promoting them. I'm just saying that there's something already in effect that maybe we can help mold and get out there.
You lived in New York for some time, right? Didn't you live in New York?
All my life.
No. Okay,
Well,
because there's a Working Families Party that I think originated there, and it's now the executive director of the Workers' Family Party is a guy named Maurice Mitchell. And by the way, he's from our part of the world, which means the Caribbean is his origin, is his parents' origins. And I've interviewed him like 4 or 5 times. He's the executive director of the Working Families Parties around the country, which is it's another party, just like you have the Green Party.
But I thought that the Workers' Family Party was like part of something that has to do with the Democratic Party.
No, what they do is they do what I've spoken to Glenn Ryan about. They are their own party that they caucus under the Democratic Party because that is the infrastructure that's there. So if you notice in New York, you have people that run on the you'll have people run under 2 parties in New York. Right. The Workers' Family Party as well as the Democratic Party. But no, they're building out the entire country right now. And
because I thought that was part of the Democratic Party. So I'm glad you kind of mentioned that and maybe that's why I thought that and didn't mention it, because I thought they were like a sub of the Democratic Party.
No, they're definitely not.
Maybe they do that to dilute the Democratic Party.
Oh, no. Maurice Mitchell is actually on the slide. He makes sure to talk to people about when the vote goes down. He's caucusing with the Democratic Party, but they are quite a bit more progressive than the Democratic Party. If you go to my website, both Politics and Right and Egberto Willies, look up Maurice Mitchell and listen to the commentary that we did at Netroots Nation, where we spoke about the Democratic Party versus the Working Family Party and how they work together. It's a hell of a interview that he gave on that issue. Anyway, so
then I guess we can do both. And I said, so I guess we can do both. The Workers' Family Party and the Green Party, they're just other parties that are out there already that started.
Right. I agree with you, what you're saying, Mayana. Do you need to say anything real quick, Jack?
No, Mayana gave excellent commentary and thoughts.
Yes. Thank you very much for that, Mayana. Neil, close her out for me.
HoustonDemocracyProject.com, Houston Democracy Project. There's a blog. And the next action is when you organize it. The First Amendment is your permit. Just please show up.
Absolutely. So, folks, I love you all. Reach me at kpft@politicsdoneright.com or finish watching the videos of the show at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I love you all, and I mean that from the depths of my heart. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.